Ah, lone wanderer in Shadow Town, how tragically poetic. The very air doth weep for him, that sword. Not just steel, but burden, each link in his armour a chain of memory. He walks, and with every step the past bleeds anew. Like Macbeth haunted by Banquo's ghost, no peace, no rest. Only the weight of deeds undone. Tell me, does he seek redemption, or merely oblivion beneath the moonless sky? Ah, a den of wretchedness, a tavern where joy died and fear took residence. The castle lord, cowardly beast in noble's clothing, preying on the helpless like a vulture upon carrion. Sweet innocence defiled by wine and cruelty. How the gods weep, no knight to defend her. No sheriff bold enough to draw steel. The other patrons, they pay, they drink, they leave. Their silence is louder than any scream. Cowards all, afraid of the Lord's wrath more than their own souls. Enter our tortured wanderer with his heavy sword. Does he see this evil? Will he finally strike, or bleed once more for not acting sooner? The air thickens with malice. A fairy, naked, trembling, ethereal light dimmed by filth, tortured for sport. Not even beasts are this cruel. And the grandfather, ancient eyes filled with helpless rage as he's struck down like a dog. The very order of nature is inverted. The innocent suffer while monsters laugh and drink to their own wickedness. Our wanderer pays his coins in silence, not to join them but to avoid conflict. He has no hope left. No fire of righteousness burns in his chest anymore. Only ashes, only memory. Perhaps once he too was kind, once he tried to save someone, but now he watches evil feast and does nothing. A flash, faster than thought. The arrow sings through the air, a silver tongue of justice. One knight falls, pierced in the heart, dead before he knew death came. The other turns, too slow. Whoosh, that monstrous sword, the weight of guilt and centuries behind it, cleaves upward like divine wrath. The flying archer is split mid-flight. Two halves crash to earth as blood sprays across tables. The tavern shakes, plates rattle, wine bottles explode from sheer force. A crater blooms where steel kissed stone. Silence follows, not fear yet, but shock. Then chaos begins to stir. And there stands our wanderer, bow empty, sword dripping red light in dim torch glow. A ghost returned with vengeance, cloaked not in hope, but rage long buried beneath sorrow. The lone survivor, the last night breathing, staggers, clutching his wound, eyes wide with terror. The wanderer's voice cuts through the smoke like a funeral bell, cold, hollow. For let the man of your orders know, a mirror of darkness walks in his midst. No name, no boast, just threat, delivered not as bravado, but prophecy. And then, silence again as the wanderer turns and walks away, boots heavy on broken wood and blood-soaked earth, not looking back. The bartender shrieks, "Damn it all, my bar!" Ruined, he raises trembling hands to heaven, not in prayer for justice, but lament for lost ale barrels and shattered stools. Old age weighs on him too now. He sees violence he cannot control anymore. And somewhere beyond town walls, the Lord stirs. Puck, that tiny, glittering spark of mischief and light, untouched by evil's stain, flutters after the towering shadow that is the swordsman. "Hey, I'm Puck. Thank you for saving my ass back there," he chirps, voice bright as a firefly in midnight. But the wanderer does not slow, does not turn. The darkness around him swallows even torchlight. His cloak is a void where hope once lived. Puck hovers beside him like a speck of starlight, refusing to die, and yet he fears it. Not Puck, not kindness, but what comes with light. Light means memory. Memory means guilt. Guilt remembers all he has failed to save, all who died while he stood frozen. So no, he does not need Puck's glow. Not because darkness suits him better, but because joy feels foreign now, like fire on frozen hands. Rain falls, cold, endless, washing nothing clean. The town is drowned in grey misery. A carriage rolls through the mud, black as sin, and within, women and children, forced, not given aid, not escorted to safety, no kindness in their eyes on the drivers. They're being taken to the castle, not saved by it. The swordsman watches from shadowed alleyways, hood low over his face. His jaw tightens beneath scars no one sees, but he feels every second of them. The weight of dead comrades screaming in his mind like ghosts on a battlefield long gone cold. We promised to protect them, one memory whispers. You did nothing. Each child's tear mixed with rain hits him harder than any blade ever could. The woods swallow him. Wet, tangled, silent, save for the drip of rain through leaves, he collapses against a gnarled oak, breath ragged. Finally, rest, but no. not peace. Beneath his cloak, the cursed brand on his chest begins to pulse. A searing pain flares, ancient magic or punishment. The mark that binds him to failure suddenly screams, not from outside, but in his skull. Demons of memory. Not flesh and blood fiends, but phantoms forged from every death he couldn't stop. The faces of fallen brothers melting into the screams of children taken by carriage. He thrashes silently in torment, pleading with them like a man drowning. Leave me. I can't. I won't go back. But they don't listen. They never do. The demons claim him, every last fragment of his being, his pain, his memories, the fear that gnaws at his soul. They are no longer his. They belong to the nightmares now. He screams, but it's not sound. It's raw spirit unraveling. And in that moment, something ancient answered. From the heart of the woods, a shadow taller than trees emerges. A demonized armored griffith, half bird, half night, all malice. Its eyes burn with primordial rage, not born today or yesterday, but anger from when gods first fell and light abandoned earth. It does not roar. It does not speak. It simply stands before him, a creature of pure wrath, summoned by agony so deep it cracks reality itself. The guards drag him in, rough hands, cold chains, no trial, no word. They torture him not for confession, not for information, but because they can. Because pain is a language of power when fear rules. And this isn't just pain. It's beyond God's wrath, the kind that twists souls into screaming knots and makes even stone weep if it could feel. Now approaches the minister, pale-faced, trembling in his fine robes, though he wears no crown or title to save him from doom's approach. He stares at the swordsman bound and bleeding, and sees not a rebel, but an omen walking on 2 feet, proof that something worse than their lord is coming, perhaps already here. He fears what this man might awaken, or become. The swordsman laughs, a sound like cracked stone, dry and humorless. It echoes through the dungeon, cold and merciless to him. Their fear is pathetic. Their weakness disgusting. They kneel to a lord who steals wives and children. They do nothing but beg for peace while evil dines on innocence. The minister steps closer, voice shake, do you care at all? For a breath, silence. Then the answer cuts deeper than any blade. They must learn to bite. Not anger, not pity. A verdict from one who has seen too much blood spilled by cowards with soft hearts. No plea will move him now. Not reason, not prayer. Not even tears of helpless mothers clutching their stolen babies. The minister, stung by truth he cannot bear, truth that mirrors his own cowardice, snarls. If it pleases you, take your anger out on him. And so they do. Hands swing, boots kick. Chains rattle as the guards unleash their frustration, not for justice, but to feel something other than helplessness. They beat him for hours, relentless. But the man of darkness, he does not flinch beyond a breath caught too long. No scream escapes, only silence, deep and hollow as a grave beneath winter earth. When it ends, they drag his broken form into a cell, a stone coffin with bars, and slam the door shut like sealing fate itself. Puck hovers outside moments later, small light flickering in dim corridor. He sees no hero there. Puck lingers outside Guts' cell, heart beating faster than usual, not with fear, but guilt. He saved Puck. He didn't have to, but he did. And yet, the fairy had done nothing in return. Now he sees something strange. For once, Guts isn't cold as stone or burning with rage. He's just disamused. A flicker of something almost human crosses his face when Puck speaks. The tiny creature asks softly. A long pause, then, Guts. No title, no pride in it, just a fact thrown into darkness like a pebble into a well. Puck nods and begins his quiet mission, creeping through shadows, spotting guards who slump drunk or sleep half awake. One dangles keys on his belt like trophies. Pucker feels no remorse about what comes next. Puck freezes, terrified, as he brushes against Guts' aura. It's not just rage, not just pain, it's deeper, twisted, a darkness that isn't born of anger, but something worse, emptiness so vast it consumes even the memory of warmth. And Puck cries. Tiny silver tears fall into the stone floor, sizzling like starlight dying in water. He stops himself, not because healing is forbidden or dangerous, but because for a moment he saw nothing human behind those eyes. But then, Guts looks up at him again through bars, and there are no words exchanged this time, just scars on display. One eye gone, socked shut with old injury, an arm missing too, the left sleeve pinned and empty. Puck sees it all now, the cost paid in flesh and soul to keep walking this long, and suddenly His heart swells with purpose. Guts feels it, the dull ache of fresh bruises, split skin, cracked ribs subsiding. Not gone entirely, but eased, like a storm pausing for breath. He blinks at Puck, genuinely confused. This tiny glow shouldn't be here, shouldn't care. What the hell you doing here? He grunts, voice rough as gravel and smoke. Aren't you a bit out of place? Puck hovers calmly despite Guts' glare. I'm just returning the favor. No grand speech about light conquering dark or hope winning over despair. Just simple fairness from something pure in a world full of filth. And then, Puck adds quietly, a tad of noble act before what's to come tonight. Guts' lip twitches, not quite approval, but something close enough for him, respect through silence. His mind sharpens like steel on stone, apostle awaits. Guts leans forward, chains clinking, his one eye sharp as a blade's edge. We use our bodies to resist, not sit back and die. To him there is no moral difference between cowards who beg and pray that dies quietly. Both are weak, both feed the strong. He has no patience for helplessness dressed as virtue. They can't defend themselves? Then they've got no right to exist, he says flatly. Not cruelly, but with brutal logic carved from war and loss. If you can't protect what matters, then what can you protect? No values survive in soft hands that won't bleed for them. Puck listens, wide-eyed, not offended, just realizing Guts doesn't hate the town or its people, he hates their weakness. Puck's voice is small, trembling with confusion and something like hurt. Why did you save me? I was just there. Guts stares at him, then bursts into laughter. Not kind, not mocking, mad, wild-eyed, jagged, the laugh of a man who's forgotten how to be gentle. And when it ends, he answers, you happen to be where you ain't got no business being, weak, passive, like the others in this town, sheep waiting for slaughter. No grand reason, no heroic moment in his mind, just he saw a fairy about to die for no reason, and crushed someone stupid enough to hurt it without thought. Puck doesn't argue, he turns and flies, faster than ever before, not toward Puck's home or magic grove, but away from Guts entirely. Tears evaporate behind him as wind swallows them whole. For a fleeting second, a glitter in the dark, Guts feels something unfamiliar. Not pity, not kindness, but frustration, like a crack in armor. Puck flew away crying because of him. That tiny creature who healed his wounds returned a favor with no expectation, and Guts called him weak. Was that too harsh? The thought lingers for half a breath, then is crushed underfoot like an insect beneath war boot. He shakes it off, violently dismisses it as irritation. Not weakness, not softness, but distraction. His body isn't made for comfort anymore, or connection, or care. It exists to destroy. The apostle first, then this town if it stands between him and vengeance. If they burn, so be it. The minister steps into the grand hall. Marble floors, towering glass, silence thick as blood. And there he stands, the castle lord. Not quite human, not entirely monster either. Tall beyond reason, his presence warps the air like heat above fire. His face is too smooth in places, too sharp in others, eyes that gleam with cold amusement rather than warmth. A smirk curls across his lips, not friendly, not kind. Evil, every line of it, a serpent wearing a man's skin and enjoying it immensely. He speaks, voice smooth yet laced with poison. Minister, we were in simultaneous understanding, no greeting, no pleasantries. Just two predators acknowledging their alliance, the quiet pact to crush anyone who resists. The minister bows deeply, spine bent like a servant to a god, and the Baron of blood as whispers name him, lifts his chin slightly. His long fingers trail along the armrest of his throne-like chair, leaving faint red streaks. Dried blood. He feeds on massacres, not just flesh but souls crushed beneath tyranny. This hall is not sacred, it's profane. A cathedral for cruelty where even breath feels tainted by despair. The Baron studies the minister, not with anger or praise, but disdain laced with quiet approval. You always worshipped your thoughts. Not admiration, that he serves faithlessly, obediently, but recognition that this man thinks himself wise in politics and order, when all wisdom here ends at his will. The Baron leans forward slightly, his unnatural presence thickening the air like smoke. No, he says, soft, final, I shall not worship your fears, not mocking, not angry, disappointed, like a king told by a peasant that clouds move because they're afraid of falling. Fears are tools for lesser men. The minister clings to them, fear of rebellion, fear of the town burning, but the Baron, he is power. Fear bends to him, not feeds it. Then he adds coldly, as long as you think you need something, you walk in this sphere. Weakness is necessity dressed up as strategy, pathetic in his eyes. And then, with faint curiosity beneath cruelty, your black swordsman? A pause. A smirk returns, not pity exactly, but amusement at how insignificant Guts seems compared to him. The minister clears his throat, voice steady with the weight of duty. I serve my people's safety. A noble lie, a servant's justification. But the Baron isn't listening to him. He's moving, slowly, deliberately, toward a pedestal at the center of the hall, a monstrous golden scorpion sculpture, not alive, but waiting, its tail curled like a serpent, ready to strike. This is no mere ornament. It's an offering from hell itself, forged in damned metal and cursed fire, designed for one purpose, plague. Not disease as men know it, but horror made manifest. The scorpion will wake and spread death, not through poison, but madness, decay, agony beyond healing. The town won't burn. It will rot from within. The Baron's smile widens, cruel, gleaming like polished bone. He wants to welcome Guts, not with wine or banners, but with fire and ruin. A spectacle, a feast of torment where the man who defies him burns slow in his golden scorpion's curse. No homes, no food, no safety, the very things humans cling to. Gone. The town will be stripped of gears, screaming shadows under a sky that rains ash. The minister kneels again, trembling power but for survival. Please, let me have small things, bread, water, mercy. A pathetic plea from a man who traded honor long ago just to keep breathing. And the Baron, he tilts his head slightly, almost pitying this weak creature begging for kindness in hell itself. Then he speaks. My wandering sympathy has its limits. A cold dismissal. Fire shall not. The minister, cornered, desperate, plays his final card. Not strength, not threat. Dignity. A last flicker of honor buried beneath years of servitude and survival. He drops to one knee, voice trembling but loud with plea. Master of wisdom, you gave me your word. A word by yours is honored. A bold move. To remind a demon that even monsters can be bound by promises, or the illusion thereof. And the Baron, he listens. Not because he cares for morals or oaths, but because this moment amuses him. The squirming tongue begging in its tiny cage. The pathetic vibration in human speech when fear takes over. I like to see the apocalypse, he murmurs, almost poetic now. A God-savoring doom symphony. And remember how your tones sound, each syllable from terrified men as their world ends. That's music to him. The sky darkens, not with night but with presence. A colossal figure emerges from the castle gates. The Baron, mounted on a horse that is no true beast, twice the size of any stallion, hooves like anvil strikes, eyes burning with infernal fire. Not flesh, not bone, a demon steed. Behind him, knights in blackened armor surge forward, not for honor or duty, but chaos unleashed. Unleash your deepest desires, the Baron commands, a voice that cracks stone and shatters wills. No more rules, no restraints of church doctrine or divine law they once pretended to follow. Now they are animals set free by hell's decree. Torches fly into homes, doors splinter under boot and blade, screams rise as children are torn from mothers' arms. Knights swing wildly, not to kill efficiently, but to savor destruction, to let madness guide their steel. Wisdom has fled this town entirely. The town becomes a slaughterhouse. Horses, monstrous, galloping beasts of hell, crash through narrow streets, trampling all in their path. Bodies snap like twigs under hooves the size of barrels. The stench, unbearable. Blood and guts spew from crushed skulls and torn limbs, the very air thick with horror. Even hardened knights, those who once fought for honor or gold, retch or weep as they ride, overwhelmed by the stench alone, death on every breath. And above it all, the Baron laughs. Not a roarge, a trance-like giggle, a god enjoying his own masterpiece unfold. Fire spreading, rooftops igniting one by one, smoke curling into black plumes that blot out stars, screams rising only to be drowned by another charge. No escape routes are left open, not even alleys spared. This is industrial genocide dressed as divine retribution. Homes burn, people burn. Screams turn to ash before they can finish echoing. A sudden hiss, arrows flying from the smoke like vengeful spirits, piercing through armor and flesh. Two knights fall mid-charge, shafts sprouting from their chests. The Baron's eyes narrower, not with anger. There he is, Guts, emerging from behind a mound of corpses, lifeless bodies stacked like firewood by fate or chance, unharmed beneath them. And the Baron, he watches with a smirk that borders on worship the moment his main prodigy enters hell's stage. He doesn't command quietly. Destroy him. On horseback, armoured cavalry soared in formation, 4 at once, a wall of steel and hooves designed to crush even legends into paste. They scream as they ride, meet God, make peace, die, but Guts, he moves first. The carnage is spectacular, horrifying in its perfection. Each cavalryman and his demon horse charged forward as a unit of terror, and Guts, in one fluid motion, faster than thought, sharper than lightning, a single swing of his ebony blade splits them clean in half. Not just severed limbs or chests, but entire bodies, horses included, cleaved vertically down the middle like rotten fruit, split by divine wrath. Half horse, half man falls to either side, blood gushing hot onto burning earth. The impact sends chunks flying, blood sprays across survivors' faces. Some knights recoil, not from pain or fear of death, but pure dread. They didn't see movement. They saw a flash, then their brothers were gone. One whispers, he's not human. And then the Baron roars, not waiting for strategy anymore. He spurs his monstrous steed forward himself. The ground trembles beneath hooves larger than barrels as he charges Guts directly. The Baron's attack is titanic. A single strike from his colossal spear, wielded with the force of a collapsing mountain. Guts, massive as he is sent flying backward, crashing hard into the earth like a meteor. Dust explodes, rubble flies. For a second, silence. Then the Baron raises his pile of titanic spears, all fused together into one monstrous weapon taller than towers. With brutal precision, he hurls it downward at Guts. It misses by an inch. The impact, devastating. The ground shatters, splitting open in cracks that race toward collapsing homes and burning streets. The village itself begins to cave in beneath the force of hell's rage. But Guts... He rolls fast, already on his feet, and without hesitation, draws back and fires rapid arrows, not to kill, to punish. The Baron howls in agony as Guts' arrows, fast, precise, brutal, pierce his chest like divine retribution. Each shot carries the weight of a man who has nothing left to lose. Then comes collapse. Buildings already burning and weak from fire give way under the earth's violent shudder. The village crumbles like sandcastles swept by storm. Debris rains down on the Baron as an entire street folds over him. Wood, stone, flame swallowing his monstrous form beneath collapsing ruin. No, the Lore Knights scream, not in rage now, but panic. Their god is buried, their shield gone. They scatter like roaches fleeing light. And there, Guts stands amid smoke and ash, a statue carved from war itself, stoic, unmoved by blood or roar or ruin around him. But then, a sound worse than all others, a deep thudding, slow, unnatural, from beneath the wreckage. A tail emerges, not horse-like anymore, but something ancient, serpentine, vast, a nightmare made flesh. The tail, thick as a tree trunk, armoured with chitin-like plates, slams into Guts with terrifying force. He's launched backward like a ragdoll, crashing through burning timber and collapsing thatch. Debris rains on him, small cuts bloom across his skin, but he doesn't cry out. The Baron is gone. In his place, a monstrous scorpion, towering 10 meters tall. A nightmare of curved exoskeleton, venomous stinger raised high above the ruins. Its eyes glow hellish red beneath shadowed carapace. It speaks not in growls or screeches, but in deep, distorted human-like speech laced with divine malice. Shoot, for your dignity, with my blessings included. To the remaining knights, the few who haven't fled, the command is clear. Kill this man. Not for survival, but to prove they are still worthy servants of hell. And then, the Baron lifts a corpse from the rubble, a dead villager, and drinks their blood straight from an open wound on their neck. Guts staggers, every muscle screaming. Pain radiates from his ribs, his back, the fresh bruises blooming beneath scorched armor. He tries to rise, but the moment he lifts himself, a spear flies, launched by a knight under Baron's curse, and pierces through his shoulder. Not fatal, but searing with agony. Guts growls, more animal than man, and knocks it out with a brutal swing of ebony blade before ripping the spear free and crushing its wielder's skull in one sickening crunch of iron gauntlet and bone. The tail swings again, a devastating arc, and this time it slams into him hard enough to send Guts flying, straight through 2 panicked knights who are instantly crushed like bugs beneath demonic force. From above, the Scorpion watches coldly. Fragile Homo sapiens. His voice drips disgust. To think you make illusions for yourselves, talking food, not even worth full night's amusement. The Baron grabs Guts with both clawed arms, lifting him like a ragdoll, holding him high above the burning ruins. Smoke swirls around them. The knights below watch in frozen horror. And the demon's face, once smug, cruel, divine in its malice, stares directly at Guts. Its jaw twitches slightly, not in anger, but amusement. To it, this is entertainment, a mortal man squirming before godhood. Guts doesn't flinch. Instead, he raises his iron prosthetic arm, still crackling with residual energy from earlier combat, and as the Baron holds him loosely, a moment of overconfidence, he fires. A cannon blast erupts from his arm, a deafening roar that splits night and earth. The explosion tears through Hell's noble visage, flesh vaporizes, chitin shatters, one eye obliterated instantly, the entire left side of its massive scorpion head gone, blown apart by searing force. The moment the cannon blast tears through the Baron's face, Guts isn't just angry anymore. He is fury incarnate, a primal, unchained storm of pure rage that no man or demon was ever meant to survive. In a split second, he wrenches free from the Baron's loosening grip, drops to the ground like death falling, and lunges for his ebony blade, still half buried in ash and blood. No strategy, no breath, just screaming, a guttural animal roar ripped from hell itself as he swings with every ounce of power left in his body. Clash! The blade connects, not on armor or exoskeleton, but clean across its center mass where divine strength weakens for an instant, and it splits. Not torn apart slowly, split. In one catastrophic arc, the Scornbarn is cleaved down its entire torso. Chitin shatters, black ichor and holy fire explode outward as its two halves fly apart midair. Blood sprays everywhere so thick they stain trees red. The Baron, once a god of cruelty, ruler of nightmares, now pleads, not with rage, not with commands, but like a child who's been struck and doesn't understand why. Its voice cracked and broken from the explosion on its face. My gratitude, your inspirational judgment. A twisted attempt at flattery, a last desperate plea for mercy, or perhaps just acknowledgement that it was wrong. Guts stares at him, not pitying, not softening. He excuses himself in his mind. How was it? A spectacle of noble charity, likeness to yourself. Mocking irony drips from every word. Without hesitation, he nocks an arrow, aims, thwip. The shot lands true. The last remaining eye of the Scorpion Baron is punctured violently by the arrowhead. Guts speaks coldly as he lowers his bow. It's true we guys are made softer. A pause. But our instincts demand. Guts speaks. Not as a savage, not as mindless rage, but with cold purpose. Each word carved from steel and fire, I took my opportunities, as myself. Not for revenge on others, on the town or knights or god, but to deliver something straight to the Baron's core. He raises his bow again, another arrow nocked, and fires without flinching. Thud. The second arrow pierces deeper into the wounded face, the demon twitching, writhing now in real pain it never expected to feel from a human. Guts continues. Legs of yourself. I wish to learn by a note-sending man of darkness, a dark irony, that he's teaching hell its lesson through violence. Then another shot, thwip, and another after that, each one precise, each one landing harder than before because they're laced with meaning. Hurt more, good. Understand? Now you do. Guts' voice drops lower, no longer just cold, furious, not with hatred for the Baron's sins alone, but for what it represents, power that crushes without feeling. He steps forward, bow still in hand, eyes blazing like coals. I want to be the messenger of pain, not a preacher, not a saint, a bringer of consequences. I want you to take you there, to that place where helpless people screamed as their homes burned, where children died unheard, and he wants this demon, the one who fed on suffering, to feel it all. No lesson, no philosophy, just raw teaching through torment. Whether you're tallying or not, I'm making you understand. Around them, the fire spreads wildly now, licking at the Baron's scorched chitin body. And then, the demon begs, not commands this time, but please, don't end my light here. The Baron, broken and burning, its divine pride reduced to ash and terror, begs for life. But Guts, he smiles. Not a kind smile, not a merciful one. A predator's grin, cold, satisfied, the look of justice served by fire and steel. How was it again, he says, voice quiet but cutting through the roar of flames like a blade through silk. Did they ever beg your temptations? Did you give them your big warm hand as you gave me a hellish welcome? Mockery drips from every word, the mirror held up. You didn't show mercy when they screamed. And now, the fire isn't just burning his body, it's corrupting his soul. Hell itself rejecting him in this moment, because he lost what made him strong, control. Guts watches calmly as the demon writhes, not with rage anymore, but despair. Young Guts, barely a man, still carrying the softness of adolescence in his face, joins a mercenary band. They're rough, loud, drunk on promises. Their general, a fat, greasy old pervert with beady eyes and a voice like grinding stones, the kind who smiles too wide at young recruits. He promises great rewards, gold beyond imagination, glory, honor. The naive lads believe him, including Guts, fresh-faced and strong, but untested by true war's cruelty. They march to siege a castle, a stone fortress guarded by knights sworn to defend it. But the general never intended honor. When battle begins, the mercenaries rush forward recklessly, and one by one, the young sons are slaughtered, cut down like wheat before scythes. The siege should have been a victory. The castle walls were breached. The knights retreated or died. Smoke rose from burning gates. Triumph was supposed to follow. But the great Bezozo, the fat general with his greasy beard and cruel eyes, didn't see victory. He saw opportunity. And when the young mercenaries, exhausted, injured, cheering for glory, they never expected him to turn on them like a rabid dog. With a roar that shook blood in their veins, he slaughtered his own men, their comrades, one by one, screaming warnings, you meet misfortune before angels, then swinging that massive axe, not as strategy, but pure rage and betrayal. Guts sees it happen too late, then reacts faster than thought. The axe general, Bezozo, falls. Guts' sword, wielded with brutal speed and fury, slams into his stomach first, a deep gash that spills Guts onto the blood-soaked earth. Before the man can scream or beg, crack! Guts brings the hilt of his massive blade down on Bezozo's helmet, hard enough to shatter bone beneath metal. Skull caves. Brain matter and eye fluid leak from cracks in the dented steel as it rolls aside with a wet thud. Silence follows, not triumphant, but hollow. The other mercenaries lie dead around them, slaughtered by their own leader's betrayal. And then, Bezozo's lifeless hand still clutches a small pouch of coins, the great rewards he promised others now left behind. Bezozo, dead, his body limp, still clutched the pouch of coins in rigor mortis. Guts takes it without ceremony, no grand speech, no weeping over fallen brothers. He just walks. The general's voice, cold and smooth as poisoned honey, had called him new commander, a title dropped like a crown on fresh blood. Safe from the hurts of the battlefield, isn't that a mere irresistible suggestion? A smirk lingers in those words. Join us, obey me. You live, for now. But Guts doesn't reply to that lie. Instead, as he strides away from the carnage, the castle smouldering behind him, bodies cooling on stone, he mutters quietly, these plays seem peaceful, not sarcasm, not bitterness. The general follows Guts, boots crunching on ash and gravel as the war's fires dim behind them. He offers more. General position, a rank, authority, more coins than a man could spend in 10 lifetimes, power, status, respect from others who now cower or kneel. You're a strong boy, he says, voice oily with ambition. Why fight alone? Join me. But Guts, he doesn't slow his step. His eyes, empty of greed, untouched by promises of gold or glory, stare straight ahead into nothingness, like a man walking through smoke after hell burned out around him. And when the general keeps talking, Guts swings his sword, not to attack, just to cut air. A practice swing, the kind warriors do when their minds are far away. Corcus, the burly, gruff mercenary with a scar across his nose, nods as Griffith gives the order. Clear the city. No siege, no grand assault, just cleaning up. A side mission for extra coins. A favor to a lord who didn't want witnesses or rebels left breathing. And Corcus, he's pleased. Not because it's glorious, but because it's easy. No facing Bezozo's axe again. No risk of dying like those young fools who believed in promises and glory. Griffith stands tall beside him, white hair gleaming even in shadow. Calm eyes surveying the town below as if already picturing its fall. Corcus mutters under his breath, not too bad. After that town we got 2 weeks for. A comparison to something worse. A real massacre. Guts walks alone, deep in the woods, far from blood and men. The trees are thick, silent, no sounds of battle or voices, just wind through leaves and the soft crunch of his boots on moss. Meanwhile, back with Corcus, he lies beside Dan, his fellow mercenary, and Elk, their loud-mouthed companion who dreams bigger than he is. They're lounging around a small campfire, half drunk on cheap wine as they talk about knights. A knight isn't a poor man's advocate, Corcus says with bitter pride. It's beyond all lifestyles. To him, Being a knight isn't work. Not labor like farming or blacksmithing. It's glory. A myth carved in steel and honor. A life reserved for nobles, not commoners like them. Elk looks toward the tree line and spots Guts walking slowly between pines. Corcus' eyes burn with frustration, rage even. He stares at Guts through the trees, watching him walk like a ghost, silent, strong, untouched by their world of orders and politics. And to Corcus, this is unfair. We attack, he growls, right now. We take his sword, his coins, everything. A quick ambush in the woods, no witnesses, no rules, just survival of the boldest. But Dan, the quiet one with sense beneath calloused hands, shakes his head firmly. We do not attack without Griffith's orders. It's not fear of Guts. It's loyalty to chain of command. Their only shield against being labelled traitors themselves if they act on their own. Elk nods quickly. Yeah, that'd be treason. Corcus storms off, leaving Dan and Elk by the fire, his pride boiling over. He was supposed to kill Bezozo. That was his moment, his chance to rise, to be the one who took down a tyrant. Not some lone kid with a sword, but no, Guts stole it. The glory, the coins, maybe even command. And Griffith, he didn't care. When Corcus rushes up to him, the silver-haired captain sitting calmly on a log, polishing his gauntlet, he blurts out, Griffith, mind if we take him? A simple question, permission to attack Guts now that he's alone in the woods? Griffith looks at him for half a second, then shrugs. The three mercenaries, Corcus, Dan, and Elk, scramble into action with clumsy urgency. They yank on their rusted armor pieces, the clatter loud in the quiet woods. Helmet straps fumble, horses snort nervously as they're mounted. Corcus is all fire now. We attack first. I'll flank him. He swings his horse around to circle through a gap in the trees, while Dan and Elk ride straight ahead toward where Guts walks alone. Elk mutters under his breath. What flank? Why are we always going first? He's not stupid, just unused to strategy. To him, charging means dying faster if you're not careful, but Corcus growls over it, strength by numbers. Just cut him down! The attack is sudden, chaotic, reckless. Elk charges first with a war cry that sounds more like panic than bravery. He swings his sword wildly as he rides toward Guts. Shame. Guts doesn't flinch, doesn't shout. In one clean motion, he cuts. Elk's arm flies off at the shoulder, blood spraying across bark and grass. Elk screams, a raw animal sound, and falls from his horse in agony, writhing on the ground, clutching nothing but air where an arm used to be. Dan follows instantly, but Guts is faster again, a slash across Dan's stomach, not fatal by design, but deep enough to spill guts onto dirt. Dan slumps forward in the saddle, then collapses lifelessly beside Elk. Corcus reels back on his horse, eyes wide beneath the brim of his helmet. The two bodies lie still, Dan already dead, Elk writhing in blood and pain. Two down, in seconds. No grand battle, no epic clash. Just a lone boy with a sword, cutting through overconfidence like it was paper. Corcus swallows hard, suddenly realizing this is not going to be easy. He mutters under his breath, holy shit, a bit too much overconfidence, I might add. Then he yells toward Griffith's camp. Griffith, Casca, the female member, you better help him. Panic laces every word now. He didn't expect this kind of carnage from someone who just walked by quietly. Griffith doesn't move, doesn't even rise from his relaxed position on the grass. He just looks at Casca, calm, unreadable, silver eyes reflecting firelight like a cat's in the dark. Casca sighs, already knowing what he expects without words. Foolish man, she mutters, tossing aside her cloak and grabbing her helmet and sword with swift efficiency, suffering from his own actions as usual. No argument, no protest, not to Griffith, not allowed anyway. She knows how this works. Corcus screwed up. Now she has to clean it up before Guts kills them all. Without another word, she straps on her armor pieces quietly and walks toward the horses.